Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. Tuesdays at noon Eastern, I spend a little bit of time, about a half hour, answering questions from job hunters about their search. And what I'll say to you is, if you've got a question about your search, put it in the chat so I can answer it live. And I'll also mention to you that if you can't make it live in the future, what you're able to do is to message me through LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/thebiggamehunter with your questions. Mark that you'll attend the show. And what I'll say to you is you'll be able to watch the video later on. So that's the link that's involved, linkedin.com/in/thebiggamehunter. And thus you send me your questions there through LinkedIn messaging. And then later on, you can watch the replay and get answers to your questions. In addition, I'll also mention, I just want to make sure this shows up this time. For some reason, it didn't. There we go. I also have a site at JobSearch.Community with some free information, some free videos and guides to job search. And if you become an insider, you get access to all of my video courses, books, and guides. Plus, you can ask me questions about your search, get coaching from me. I have different price points based upon your financial circumstances and the amount of involvement with me that you think you need. So that's JobSearch. I'll put that up again, JobSearch.Community. See it there, JobSearch.Community. I also want to say it's still complicated out there. And every once in a while, I see a message from some career coach somewhere who talks about they're seeing things getting a lot better. Well, maybe for them they are. But for most job hunters on LinkedIn, it's pretty miserable. I was talking to someone today who's been out of work for 2 years. And he's struggling, obviously, 2 years. And he's an older worker. And, it's hard. It's not just for older workers. It's for younger college-educated professionals because this economy is not creating jobs for anyone in these white-collar industries. So, and you can see that in the U.S. jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics every month. There is the infrequent job category for college-educated professionals that shows up in the report, like healthcare. Any of you a doctor? I doubt it. Any of you a nurse? I doubt it. And that doesn't really help you. Now, maybe if you're a billing person, not exactly a big job for a college-educated professional, is it? But maybe there's something out there for you. So I'm here to try and help. And part of it is I believe that people make too many mistakes because they're amateurish in their job hunting. And I'm here to help you solve those issues. So again, that's JobSearch.Community, where I've got video courses, books, and guides, plus coaching from me to help you. On the homepage, you scroll down, you'll see a button that says Become an Insider. I have different options available for you. Don't be afraid. Just choose something so I can help you. Okay? Now, as I'm recording this on June 18th, 2024, the Boston Celtics just won the NBA title. If you're not a basketball fan, that may not mean anything to you, but there's a lesson from the experience. Because a few years ago, they went to the finals and lost. The year after that, they got further along in the playoffs, but they got bounced out. And last year, they lost in the conference finals to another team. And this year, they become champions. People need to learn what it takes to win. And that's one of the lessons from this, is learning how to win. That's true in sports. It's true in a job search. If you waste time thrashing around learning how to be successful, you will waste a lot of time and miss a lot of opportunities and be looking for work a lot longer than you need to. If you hired someone like me, or preferably me, I'm here to help. But The long and the short of it is winners find the way to win. Most of the time, that's coming about because they get support and advice and coaching that they can execute on. Losers find the way to lose. And one of the ways that winners find the way to win is they know that losers will find the way to lose. It advantages people who are winners. For you, if you're struggling with your job search, you need help. Don't try and figure it out on your own. You don't know what you're doing. And even if you ask your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, a former manager, a friend who's a recruiter, you got to execute. And you don't know whose advice to take. I filled a lot of positions when I did recruiting, and I want to help you. Again, JobSearch.Community is inexpensively priced and expensively priced, depending upon the tier of service that you want from me. I want to help you. That's the long and the short of it is, and I'm capable of helping you. Go there, examine some of the free stuff I have available, and allow me to help. Okay? Now, I received a bunch of questions for people. I'll just remind you, if you have a question for me, put your question into chat so I can answer it live. But there were people who messaged me because they weren't going to be available live. And as I said before, just mark that you'll attend. Send me your question through LinkedIn. I can help. Okay? So the first question is, and I think it says, how can brushing up on your panelists' LinkedIn profiles help you during a panel interview? And I'll take this broader to be, how can brushing up on your interviewers' LinkedIn profiles help you during an interview? The answer is, it gives you a sense of their background, seniority, and what their comfort will be with you. And you with them as well. You're able to get a sense of, are they someone who has a particular type of experience similar to yours or different? How to connect with them? Are they Ivy and you're Ivy? Did you go to the same school or not? What's their background like? Is there any common intersections between you and them? Meaning, are there people who you might know who know them? Like they worked at a particular firm, you know someone who works there. Can they put in a good word for you? There's lots of different ways that checking out a LinkedIn profile can benefit you with landing a job. Starting off with, you have a sense of what they're like. And I know that's quirky, but you have a sense of what they're like. And that can help you feel prepared and comfortable for your interview. Here we go. We got another question. What job is there that is easy to get, easy to do, and can be done from your smartphone without needing a computer? Yeah. Well, you can be a contractor and drive for Uber and Lyft with only a smartphone as a computer. You will need a car, of course, but you don't need a laptop for that. You can also do almost any job over the phone. So making annoying sales goals is an option for you. You could also be a process server or a bounty hunter for a bail bonds firm or a repo agent for people who don't make their payments on time, which these days there are a lot of people who are struggling to keep up. You can also work in a restaurant. These may not be desirable professions for you, and that's not my problem. You asked me a question, I'm here to give you some ideas of things that you can do that don't require a laptop. You may not like these jobs. Well, you're limited because you're saying you don't have a computer. With a computer, you can do a lot more. Figure out a way to get a computer, a lot of services, a lot of operations. Dell will let you pay out a computer on a lease over a multi-year period of time, so it's very inexpensive. Get a freaking computer and stop using that as an excuse for yourself so that you can do more interesting work and stop complaining. Okay? We've got more today. Let me just get back here. Good. What do you think is most important in a job search? A standard resume, a compelling cover letter, or a well-optimized LinkedIn profile? The answer is all of the above. You can't get away with doing the minimal viable work in order to land something. You're going to have to put out effort. If you want to be contacted by people, you have a great LinkedIn profile. If you want to hunt jobs, you have a great resume. A compelling cover letter is a standalone item. There's a way that works, but you are best served by doing all of the above, not just one of the above. The result winds up being start doing things world class and not half-assed. And I'm being that blunt with you because you seem like someone who's going for minimal viable options here, and that doesn't work for you. So again, I do everything. Seriously, do everything so that you're able to land something sooner rather than later. I'm also going to mention again, JobSearch.Community. Come over there, spend a little time on the homepage, become an insider so I can help you. LinkedIn.com/IN/the-big-game-hunter. Connect with me there. You'll have access to a much larger network. Now, I also want to mention I'm doing episode 3000 of my podcast, No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'm going to have an announcement that day that I think you'll find very helpful to you. Again, July 2nd, 2024 will be episode 3000 of No BS Job Search Advice Radio. It's a big day for me. I launched the show on November 20th of 2010. 3,000 episodes on July 2nd, 2024. The announcement will be specifically for those of you who listen to the show that day and message me that day. So listen on July 2nd, 2024. Okay? Now, let's move on to the next question, which is, I am struggling to get noticed by hiring managers and secure interviews despite having a wealth of experience. I'm not sure why there's a question mark there, but there's a question mark there. My assumption is they want to know, what am I doing wrong? There's a guide at JobSearch.Community called Diagnosing Your Job Search Problems. So I'll simply say the reason that you're not getting noticed by hiring managers and getting interviews is one of a couple of reasons. Your resume sucks. Your resume and LinkedIn profile are not congruent. The resume doesn't make a case for why you're qualified to do the job that you're applying for, or you're applying aspirationally. Like, I'd really like to do this kind of work, but I haven't really done it before. Could you hire me and take a chance on me? Which they're not going to do. So your resume and LinkedIn profile have to demonstrate how you can help this manager solve a problem. So that's why you may have a wealth of interviews and you may not have wealth of experience, but we're not talking about a wealth of experience. They want to have specific experience that you may not have. So think in terms of always demonstrating a fit between what you've done and what you need in your resume and elsewhere, so that they can see how you're qualified to help solve their problem. Next question is, do interviewers typically ask for ID when you're applying for a remote role? Now, my answer is going to be US-centric, so just take that for what it's worth. In the US, they won't ask you for ID at the time you're applying. They'll ask for it at the time that they're hiring you and you're doing the onboarding process. So understand that from their standpoint, they have legal responsibilities to the US government to hire people who are legally qualified or legally allowed to work in the United States, which I know, given the border situation, may sound bizarre to you, but those are the rules. So they have to verify um, your identity and your legal right to work in the United States. They may ask for a photo ID driver's license or a copy of your passport or things along those lines that are legally considered verifying your legal right to work in the United States uh, and that who you are. So at the time that you apply, no. And the reason I say that is they'll want to do verification about your background. That costs them money. They don't want to spend money unnecessarily. However, yeah, and it doesn't matter how large the firm is, they don't want to spend money unnecessarily until they know they want to hire you. So for you, the simple thing I can say is at the time that they are looking to bring you on board and they're engaged in their onboarding process, they'll probably ask. Okay. Next question is, oops, sorry, one sec. I apologize there. Bear with me for a moment. I knocked out the extender for, what do you call it? Not my Bluetooth, but my USB port where I have my microphone plugged in. So I apologize for that interruption there. What is the best way to show on my LinkedIn profile? Let me just get that pasted in. That I am between jobs and looking for work. So the long and the short of it is you ideally don't want to show you're between jobs and looking for work on LinkedIn. Why? Because LinkedIn sells a product to recruiters called LinkedIn Recruiter. It lets them search the entire database of people, whether you're connected to them or not, and send you a message. One of the fields on their side is currently working, and it's a checkbox. And if you're currently working, they can specify that they only want to see people who are currently working, and you wouldn't qualify. You are better off, at least for the next 3 to 6 months after you lose your job, to not show that your position is ended. Try and find some temp work related to what you've done previously, some consulting work, anything that demonstrates that you're still working, because after 3 to 6 months, you want to switch that to consultant and be able to demonstrate your experience to a firm and that you're still working. So I don't think it's ideal to show that you're between jobs and looking for work. If this is someone who's been on maternity or lost their job and did a world vacation, you can say career break. That is an option for you on LinkedIn. So by all means, I don't view it as being desirable to show that you're out of work, because LinkedIn also disadvantages people in search results who are not working. Do I see some job titles that are now merging or changing since AI has taken a large role in certain positions? Not yet. Not yet, Yardbank. It's coming. But no, I'm not seeing it to any degree yet. There are positions that are disappearing. There are positions that are evolving, but not quite yet. It kind of, we'll see new things coming fairly soon. Sorry, bear with me. Something just popped out. For junior jobs, I think there's going to be an expectation of AI familiarity and to try and synthesize it in the work. Because normally with younger professionals, they've done work with AI as part of their academic program. There's some great data about how ChatGPT usage has been down 20% during the summer months because students are on break, and it'll pick up again in September. For junior positions, it will change. For senior positions, it'll change. But I expect it's going to be something along the lines of it's going to be incorporated into the work rather than a formal title. And there'd be some formal titles, like, we already see prompt engineer or AI architect type of roles, but those are unique to firms that are developing AI. Not the prompt engineering one, obviously, but think of it from the standpoint of an employer. They're going to want to have people who are familiar with using the technology and who will save time. So in the web world, can you use AI as part of your work? The answer, of course, is yes. But a difference in title yet? No. And starting to have a difference in skill expectations? Yes. But so much of what AI is being used for now is nonsense. I was listening to the All In podcast over the last 2 weeks, and productivity gains from AI exist, but they're not as substantial as the cost of AI these days. So not quite yet, but we will within the next 12 months, I'm sure, but not quite yet. So again, to answer your question, I'm not seeing changes in titles yet. I'm not seeing formal changes in functions yet. We will, with the expectation that AI is going to be the decider between two different candidates for a job with a firm. And it's going to start working its way into job descriptions. And it won't matter which model it is, although some will have a preference for one versus another. ChatGPT is obviously dominant right now, but who knows what it will be 2 years from now. But for now, they'll have an expectation that you've used the technology for a particular business purpose. So especially if you're like a web designer, using AI as part of your work, or an engineer, software engineer using AI as part of your work, they'll enjoy that in your resume, but it won't show up in the job description quite yet. They're lazy. These are institutionally approved job descriptions, but they'll use it as a way of deciding on one person versus another. That may not have been what you were looking for, Yard Bank, but it's the way I see things right now. And if you have more questions, folks, just put them in the chat so I can answer them live. And bear with me for 1 second. I want to get to another question. Actually, before I go any further, I'll just simply say, put your questions about job search into chat. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/thebiggamehunter. And visit JobSearch.Community, where I have video courses, books, and guides to help you with your search, and also to hire me to help coach you. So again, that's JobSearch.Community. I've got a few more minutes. I'm teaching a class at 1 I want to do a little prep for again. So I'm feeling good going into it. So I may do one more question after this one. And the question is, I remember this one when it came in. What are the best ways to search for a job? The answer is to have someone you know introduce you to someone who they know who don't know you, and your background fits. It's the idea of networking and being referred for a position. That's always the best way to search, and the statistics bear it out. Somewhere between 75 and 85% of positions are filled as a result of your network. Let's see now. And the other part of that is there are people who your network knows who you don't know. Getting that introduction is going to help you land your next job because you've cut the line and get to the front, because that hiring manager knows this person and trusts them and is willing to accept the referral from them. So that's really the best way to land your next job. I'm going to take one more question and then bring it to a wrap, unless someone puts a question into chat. I know some of you are out there. I'm here to help you. Let me just see one thing. Good. 2 of you are on YouTube. 1 of you are on Facebook. Woohoo! Last question for today. Other than social media and resumes, is there any background check companies can perform, legal or otherwise, before the first job interview with a candidate? But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that because it's expensive to background check someone. Why would they spend money on background checking pre-interview? They can look at your LinkedIn profile, but you're saying other than social media and your resume. So let's look at your LinkedIn profile. They could pay for it, but they won't do that because they'll only do that if they're interested in hiring you. Otherwise, they're spending obscene amounts of money screening people out rather than bringing them on board, rather than evaluating and assessing them so they can land in their next role. So long and the short of it is, are there other things that they can do? Yes, they can hire a background checking firm pre-interview, but they're not going to do that. It's really that simple. So I'm Jeff Altman. I hope you found this helpful. Visit JobSearch.Community, where I have video courses, books, and guides to help you. Plus, I can coach you. I have multiple levels of coaching services there to help you with your job search. So again, go to JobSearch.Community. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/thebiggamehunter. Mention that you saw this. I like knowing I'm helping some folks. Once we're connected, your network is going to be a lot larger. Like all of my first level connections are going to become your second level connections. And you'll be able to see a lot more of the people who look at your profile. It will help you a lot. I also want to say to you, it's hard to find work these days for those of you who are on LinkedIn. You need some help. Let me help you. Becoming an insider at JobSearch.Community will give you access to video courses, books, and guides that will help you. Plus, you'll be able to ask me questions or receive coaching from me, depending upon the level of service you choose. I want to help. Have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.